Hello and welcome to Grid Vision. We're excited to be here this lovely Sunday afternoon for the Global Racing Truck Series at Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, as we get closer and closer to the end of round two here in the playoffs. My name's Brian Britt, and I'm joined in the booth by league owner Michael Lester. Definitely a pleasure to have him here tonight. Of course, down behind the cameras is Austin Derbyshire. Definitely going to be an exciting day today. We got 134 laps of action. Before we get into the details of the race, let's actually take a quick look at the schedule. We got a new schedule out with a busy week next week. And of course, that is going to include, I should mention before we get into the schedule, tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be at Texas in the Xfinity car with the RGR series. So make sure you tune in for that. But of course, I do believe this Monday, we're going to be continuing our Grid Vision Super Speedway Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So that's going to be an exciting race right there. I do believe, of course, the Super Speedway version of that track. And can't wait to see all the new competition kind of showing up there. Tuesday night, of course, Champion Power Equipment is going to be continuing their season. I do believe their second race. They're going to be at Texas Motor Speedway, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, on Friday, we're going to continue our NIS competition or coverage, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Big Bad Talladega. And, of course, on Sunday, we're going to be at Talladega again. Global Racing Truck Series is going to be 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at that Super Speedway racetrack. Going to be exciting to see for sure. Of course, later in the night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the RGR Series is going to be at Darlington, my home track. Definitely going to be an interesting way to end the Sunday. But with that, Michael, how are you today? Are you excited to see some racing here at Texas Motor Speedway?
Oh, I'm excited is beyond words there. Texas is a really big track, fast track, a lot of room to racing, so it should be some good side-by-side racing. I say that, but from what I heard from the guys, it's a one lane track, so passing's kind of hard here at Texas now since they did that remod on it. So we're going to see some good racing, and I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to be up here in the booth. I appreciate you guys letting me come up here and enjoying the race with you this Sunday.
100%. Of course, like you said, Texas kind of has been rescanned and changed here. As we look at the track temp, about 89 degrees track side at the moment. Let's take a quick look at the points. I know this is, I do believe we have, this is the second to last race here in round one. So, of course, next week, Talladega is going to end round one with the bottom 5 drivers in this playoffs are going to be essentially kicked out. And that is going to leave, I do believe, 10 drivers. Of course, Bobby Mantle up at the top of the board at the moment, I do believe, with his win last week. Second place, Michael Hayes. Third place, EJ Luna. Fourth place, Chad McGinley. Fifth place, Daniel Watt. Sixth place, Mark Royce. Seventh, Ricky Hudgens. Eighth, Steve Gerber. Ninth, Stephen Hayes. 10th, Stephen Knight. He's been looking really good here lately. At the top, it's just been looking really great. 11th place, Justin LeBlanc. 12th, Austin McGill, who has been kind of hit or miss on his participation. So that's going to be a big thing in whether he moves on to the next round. 13th, David Holsey. 14th, Michael Lester, of course, you. And 15th, Don Blazer, who I do believe is out as well. So, we are definitely seeing attrition here for sure. And we're also going to see even more attrition when this round ends. And it's going to get even. I think the pressure is going to continue to build to see who's going to be the championship holder. And we've seen a lot of drivers, or a lot of teams, I'd say, this season, Michael, that have really, kind of moved up to the top of the hill, and then kind of get knocked off by another team. And we've been seeing a lot of really heavy competition between the teams, and it's really been awesome to see. But it looks like I think we have the running order here, the starting grid set. It's going to be Chad McGinley, top of the board. You talked about how hard it is to pass. Well, it's going to be good to have qualifying position, and Chad McGinley is going to be up at the top of the board. Second place, Ricky Hudgens. Third, Michael Hayes. Fourth, Bobby Mantle. Fifth place, new driver to the series, Tyler Honeycutt. Sixth place, Joshua Slade. Seventh place, Justin LeBlanc. Eighth place, EJ Luna. Ninth, Stephen Hayes. And 10th, David Holsey.
11th place is going to be Mark Royce. 12th is going to be Steve Gerber. 13th is going to go to Stephen Knight. 14th is going to be Ron Harrington. And to round it all out is Ronald Holmes in that 15th position.
Definitely going to be very important to have a qualifying track position. But got to ask, though, I've been seeing Joshua Slade. I know he's with the Lazy Lizard camp there. How nice is it to see him finding success out there on the track?
Joshua has been around the league off and on for a couple of years. He's done a lot of good work. He's left for unforeseen reasons. Uh, he came back in, bounced back pretty good. He's been up there uh, almost every week up there battling. Sometimes he gets some into some shenanigans with other cars and gets messed up or messes himself up. But he's been really strong the last couple of weeks and definitely impressed. He is kind of with Lazy Lizards, but he's going to field up his own team starting next week. So he's technically not a Lazy Lizard, but running with the Lazy Lizards guys this week.
Well, okay, I got you. So hey, a little bit of a temporary kind of, a couple running, nothing wrong with that. Get your team some points for sure. And it looks like everybody is kind of starting to roll. I see Ricky Hutchins kind of did not get going there. And I think he might actually be serving a penalty that might have been from last week's race at Bristol. I know last week's race at Bristol was quite a race. I mean, that track is very much a lot of times very physical racetrack, and these guys probably going to be very happy to be here on a 1.5 mile track. That's for sure. A lot more room on this place. I would not be surprised if we don't see a whole lot of cautions here, considering how wide this racetrack is. We'll have to wait and see. Just a little bit of facts about the race, though. Of course, the fuel window is about 48 laps, from what I've heard. So that's not an exact figure. If you're in the lead, it's going to be probably a little bit less. But we'll have to see how that kind of all plays out. Of course, also we have 4 sets of tires down in the pits as we get set to go. Pace car is going to be dropping down pit road as Chad McGinley takes us to the green flag. And there it is. Green flag is out in the air. And that's actually Michael Hayes up front, because I think McGinley had a penalty too.
Yeah, both our front row guys, Chad McGinley and Ricky Hutchins, had to serve a penalty from last week. So they're going to be the 2 fastest cars are going to be trying to run up through the field as we go here.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt them for sure. And track position is so important. Michael Hayes, a lot of times when you get him to lead, it's very difficult to get it back from him. Also, the new driver, Tyler Honeycutt, he's in that second place position. Love that Hooters paint scheme, but could he possibly be challenged by Steven? Now, we don't know whose team is Tyler going to be driving for.
Tyler will be driving. Tyler will be driving for the Lazy Lizards for the rest of the season and going into next season. Like I said, Joshua Slade is going to form his own team up starting this week. He's just riding with us today because he has not got a team up yet.
Well, I heard that. Well, definitely seems like you guys got a good driver with that 2 machine of Tyler Honeycutt. He's sitting in second place right now, holding off some of the best in the series. I mean, Stephen Hayes is not a slouch at all, as we see EJ Luna really pressuring Bobby Mantle at the moment. As you can tell, these drivers desperately trying to pass. Here's Joshua Slade, now pressured by David Holsey in the 7th place position. So a lot of guys, even though it's difficult to pass here, guys are definitely trying to make it happen. This is more of a bottom group racetrack, and you see a lot of drivers trying to see if they can get underneath another driver to make these passes. Oh, very close racing there for 7th.
Yeah, tight racing for 7th and 8th between Joshua Slade and David Holsey. Slade was barely clear of him when he came down. Luckily, nothing happened there, and everybody's going forward.
And here comes Stephen Hayes, of course, to the bottom here to try to get by Tyler Honeycutt. He's going to see if he can't possibly draft up to his brother. It looks like Honeycutt's going to move up the racetrack. He's going to give the position. So now we have Lone Star 1-2 right now, as well as see Bobby Mantle having a battle with EJ Luna. Luna's been looking pretty good here lately. I think if I'm not mistaken, he's won a race as well earlier in the season. As Mantle gets to the high side.
That was very close right there with him and Bobby Mantle. They just about connected right there.
That they did, and you love to see this style of racing. A lot of people do not like this new scan, this new configuration to this track. It's kind of grown on me, to kind of be honest.
I care a lot more about the way the old configuration was with Texas. You could be really fast on many different lanes. When they repave it and they redid the I think the front stretch, it kind of just set the pattern to go to that bottom line, and you lose a lot of speed if you don't know how to run those turns.
Whoa, Joshua Slade, very, very loose, almost has contact with Mark Royce there. And we're almost 3 wide here for, I do believe, 5th place, as these guys are all over each other. Throw a blanket over these drivers. You can see the top 4 are starting to drive away. because someone's holding up the field here. And it looks like Mark Royce is going to try to work this top side to see if he can possibly get a run, as we have a challenge for the lead. Stephen Hayes on the rear end of Michael Hayes.
And Tyler Honeycutt trying to put his nose in there as well for a three-way battle for the lead.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like they're maybe even verging on 3 wide here for this lead. And this is going to bring EJ Luna into this fight.
Well, you know those Hayes brothers are extra motivated to win this race, Texas being their home state. We got side-by-side battle for the lead between the Hayes brothers.
Yeah, these guys, even though they're on the same team, a lot of times they end up battling each other a lot of times. And you know, that could be to their detriment, but also could be to their benefit.
Yeah, I don't think you have any teammates when it's coming to the win, so.
That's right. Especially in the playoffs, you know, these guys want to, you know, get as many points as they possibly can. And it is, but it's also not even based on wins. You can't win your way into the next round. That's another point as well. You can just tell this side-by-side battling is definitely making it a lot easier for Tyler Honeycutt and EJ Luna to be in this battle. It's also possibly even bringing Joshua Slade back into the mix as well. We saw the top, you know, 4th place to 5th place kind of separated by quite a bit. And now that's kind of starting to change. It's starting to, the pack is kind of starting to collapse back on itself. Looking at lap times, we're seeing about a half a second or more of fall off, which is definitely interesting to see after a 10-lap run. I think we're probably going to continue to see more and more fall off. I know in the next gen machine, I've seen a lot of races there in that next gen, and there's been over a second in that car. So I expect it's probably going to be very similar here in the truck. As here we go to the inside, Tyler Honeycutt goes on Michael Hayes. Can he get this pass completed? Looks like he's got a very strong setup underneath that race car.
I believe he might be running the Ryko setup. I'm not sure what my guys are running. They had a whole list of setups today that they were running and trying out, and I don't know which one he opted with, but whatever he did, he's moving.
Yeah, definitely seems like he's got some speed underneath the hood of that machine there, as he does manage to take that second spot. Michael Hayes, of course, falls back to 4th as EJ Luna takes advantage of the whole situation. Now, I was talking to some drivers. They said that setups are important to this racetrack, but it's also the driver behind the wheel. You know, it's going to be a lot about who can save tire. You know, it's a lot about your input, especially at this place. I mean, 1 and 2 is a lot like what you see at short tracks rather than a super mile-and-a-half track. You kind of want to even maybe drag a little bit of brake down there getting into 1 and 2. Very easy to burn your tires up through 3 and 4. So you're going to see a lot. It's really all about how much input you put in the wheel. If you turn the wheel too much, you're going to burn those tires up, and it don't matter what setup you're running, you're going to fall back.
Oh, most definitely. I've been a firm believer. You can give 2 guys the same setup, the better driver is going to win every time. It's not really the setup. You do need a good setup that you can drive, but it's all about the driver behind that wheel, what makes the truck win.
No, 100%. You're 100% right about that. As EJ Luna, though, looking really strong right now, up in that 3rd place position. But now Tyler Honeycutt putting some pressure on Stephen Hayes, definitely looking like he's got the speed. And I feel like that name sounds familiar. Is he any relation to DJ and Donnie Honeycutt?
He is, DJ is his brother and Donnie is his father.
How about that? So small world. To see him in here too, and definitely hitting the ground running. I mean, looking at his lap times, he's hitting some of the fastest laps on the racetrack right now. 30.772 last time by versus everybody else. He's about a 10th faster than everybody else right now, as he's putting some pressure on Stephen Hayes.
Yeah. Now Tyler Honeycutt has ran for Global in the past, but he ran down in the ARCA series. His job at the time did not allow him to run on Sundays, and I'm not sure if he got a schedule change or a job change, but he is able to run on Sundays now, and we look forward to having him racing in the continued future.
Yeah, I definitely love to see him, as we see a big battle kind of going on a little bit back here for 9th place. David Holsey trying to hold off Chad McGinley. Of course, McGinley qualified on the pole. and has been desperately trying to work his way through the field, but it looks like he's having some problems getting by David Holsey. Also starting to see a gap form between Mark Royce, that's the 8th place, and the 9th place position.
And Tyler
Also have
Honeycutt
a
just
battle
made a
going on for second, I do believe, again. Maybe like Tyler Honeycutt might have had a little bit of a loose spell and now is
he, he
under fire here from the 24.
he did. He had a loose spell coming off of turn 4, I believe, which caused EJ Luna to come up onto his side. But he's just like that, exactly what happened. Ooh, he's on the grass.
A little bit
I
of a
think his car is
not a
getting
pass
loose.
to the grass. That's losing positions to the grass, unfortunately. And looks like he might have. I think he might have overheated his tires. A lot of times when you're at a track like this, and just the way he was driving, it looked like he was really feeling like that car was running so good. And sometimes that's kind of a trap that you can fall into if you think, oh man, this thing's feeling really good, I can drive my way up to the lead and kind of overextend a little bit.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of what happened there with him. I think that he might
I,
have just got a little overconfident.
I agree. I think being in here with all these great drivers and seeing Stephen Hayes become bigger and bigger in his windshield gave him a little bit more confidence than he was used to, and wore them tires out just a little bit. But good recovery, and he's back on the track going straight. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on him and see how far he falls.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, it looks like. I mean, he seems like he's gotten his rhythm back. Hopefully, we'll see. Last time by that very very slow lap compared to the rest of the field. Of course, he fell all the way back to 7th place, so that puts EJ Luna up into the 2nd place position.
And he
And of
is
course, Stephen Hayes
moving.
looking really good right now, pulling away.
EJ Luna a little bit quicker than Stephen Hayes on that last lap. He's inching his way to the back bumper of that 13 truck.
And he's been doing better and better every single week. I've been really liking what I'm seeing from the 24. I mean, a lot of times I got to say he's one of the weaker Lone Star drivers. Of course, Michael Hayes and Stephen Hayes are usually the ones that shine the brightest at the out of the Lone Star camp. But I think EJ's really been coming into his own here as of late. Of course, now as I say that he's having to really battle at the moment with Michael Hayes, but he's able to hold him off. Very good defense there from EJ. He's able to move a little bit higher up on the racetrack, and but he's holding his own, and you love to see that because you don't want to be playing second fiddle to the Michael Hayes and Stephen Hayes party. A quick rundown through the top 10 at the moment. Of course, Stephen Hayes at the top of the board right now. EJ Luna's in 2nd place. Michael Hayes is in 3rd. Joshua Slade has quietly been running a really good race. He's up to 4th right now. Ricky Hudgens, of course, who qualified 2nd, had an EOL, is up to 5th, so good recovery for him. 6th place Tyler Honeycutt, of course, who fell back to 7th, has gotten back up to 6th. He just got by Bobby Mantle. I think he's actually in the process of battling him at the moment. Mantle, of course, in 7th. 8th place Chad McGinley, who qualified on the pole, has worked his way back up to 8th. Justin LeBlanc is in 9th, and Mark Royce just lost 10th. Stephen Knight moves up to 10th. Now, Knight has been another driver this season that has very much impressed me. Those at the top drivers have really been bringing the speed week in and week out.
Yeah, Stephen Knight is probably the most improved driver in a year. He's done a lot of practicing with Chad McGinley and Bobby Mantrell, and it has paid off. Today he's running in 11th place right now, but normally he's up in that top 5 battling for one of those top positions. So
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember one week he was, right up there with his at the top crew. I know the at the top guys seemed like they had nailed the setup one week, and he was right up there with Chad McGinley and Mantle, and they almost had a 1-2-3 until he had some late race issues. So I mean, I think he could be just as good as those other guys, as Hayes, Stephen Hayes, to be exact. He's starting to drive away half a second now, as well as we see Michael Hayes has taken over 2nd place. EJ Luna starting to fall back. I think maybe he might have overextended and heated up his stuff. Of course, looking at tire wear right now, it is very significant. We're seeing, of course, fastest lap times these guys were hitting were about a 30.1. We're seeing 31.3s now, which is over a second of fall off. That is a lot, and we're only 25 laps into this run. Fuel window is about 48 laps. I think these guys are going to be wanting tires before they're going to want gas.
oh, I guarantee you they want tires right now. They're kind of wishing that somebody would spin out or do something to bring out that yellow, because those tires are starting to go away after 26 laps. You know you're feeling it.
And it's just kind of like who can drive this car when it's at its worst. I think it's going to be the one that's going to find the most success. As we see, of course, Bobby Mantle once again working on Tyler Honeycutt here for this sixth place position. Now we know Mantle's pretty good on the long run usually, so suspect him to kind of try to work his way forward. But lap time wise, I think the best in the field at the moment are the Hayes brothers. I mean, they're looking that they're running some of the fastest laps. Everybody else is kind of struggling at the moment. I will say Chad McGinley is looking best out of the at the top camp, even though he's in eighth place lap time wise. He is running some very good laps. Let's see if he's going to be able to really make something work with that. And look at
Yeah,
that, just
yeah.
pulling
Chad
away.
McGinley was a really good pickup for At the Top Motorsports and Kenny Heath. So definitely, I think At the Top Motorsports is going to get the most improved team at the end of the year because Kenny and that team kind of just stepped it up this year.
No, they really did, and we've talked to them week in and week out. You know, even in their interviews, and they just say that they schedule practices and they turn a lot of laps, hundreds of laps, just to kind of make sure that they're ready for these races. And I think that's kind of what Chad has brought to the table, and Bobby Mansell. I mean, those drivers together have really, and Kenny Heath's leadership as well have just really combined forces to make a strong cocktail, and they could even win the championship this year. I mean, they've just been really strong, especially McGinley and Mantle.
Oh, most definitely. They're definitely the top runners and top people you want to talk about when it's talking about one of them winning the championship. Uh, what I always say, what makes a good team is a good camaraderie between the drivers. If they can work together and share information together, you're going to have a good team.
Yeah,
And
for sure. That's the main thing. As we see some drivers, it looks like some tapping of the wall there. Also see some drivers are kind of on the struggle bus. David Holsey, one, he is very much struggling right now, which is kind of sad to see. Of course, in that 57 machine, usually he's one of the front runners as well. He's back here in 11th place, just off the pace compared
yeah,
to a lot of these drivers. I think he really overextended and heated up his tires,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just unfortunate.
David Halsey's coming back this week off of he had a death in the family that he had to go attend to, so he probably didn't get a lot of practice time in, and definitely want to give a shout out to the Halsey family and our condolences on the loss of the family member.
Yeah, for sure. I do believe it was a car accident, and I think he definitely had to do a lot of traveling as well. So it wasn't just something that was like in his local area. He had to do a lot of driving to go, to the funeral and everything. And definitely hearts go out to him for sure. And but hopefully he gets, we'll see a lot more speed there from that 57 because I know that those that five aces camp they have earlier in the season, they were really the hot hand. They had the hot hand, but it seems like they have kind of passed the baton in a way to at the top here as of late, or Lone Star. Lone Star, has had the baton at some points as well, and it looks like they got it here tonight or today.
Yeah, I think we've had a mixture of people up at the top of the leaderboard throughout the season. At one time, Dirty South was up there, and then or not at the top, but Lone Star, and now at the top. Uh, I think there's only a couple teams, including my team, that has not been up there. But you know, good racing in this league, and we look forward to having a good 7 races and crown a championship at the end.
Yeah, 100%. You love to see leagues where it's not just one team that's kind of out there just dominating. It seems like you got a little bit of parity here in the Global Racing Truck Series. Joshua Slade has made his way up to the third place position. He just got by EJ Luna. Looks like he is running really good at the moment. And one thing I know Austin Edstrom. I know he's not here for this week or next week. I do believe,
Now
unfortunately.
that's a good
But
racer right there. If he would be a favorite to win this if he was able to get here every Sunday, but he has work
mhm.
uh, and he's not able to get here every Sunday. But if he was to have a clear schedule and was able to race, I would put my money on that young kid winning the whole thing because he is just a phenomenal racer.
No, he definitely is, and the point I was going to make is he's actually improved himself as well. Because I mean, I know a lot of times we see him at racetracks, and he doesn't seem to have the long run speed. But it seems like lately that has changed. Lately, he has really put his nose to the grindstone, and really has just figured out how to run these cars on the longer run and to save that tire. Because I mean, we saw one of the most epic battles between him and Michael Hayes just a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, when Austin's on the track, it's always exciting to watch him race. He's just he can start from the very back and be up front within before the first pit stops. I mean, it's phenomenal to see that guy
Yeah,
drive these trucks. And he's a road racing guy too.
yeah.
He's just kind of like jack of all trades when it comes to racing. Because I've watched him race in the road course, and he's got that it factor.
Yeah, he definitely does for sure. Of course, looking at the field here, Ricky Hudgens continuing to try to move forward here, catching up to EJ Luna. He's got about a half a second to him. Of course, Bobby Mantle, though, hot on the tail of that 21 machine. And
Ricky
it'd be
Hudgens
good to see Ricky Hudgens get himself a good finish here today. I mean, we haven't
he's
seen
had a
him,
good Ricky Hudgens had a good season. He's had a good clean season. He hasn't when handing out penalties, he's one of the fewer guys that had very little amount of penalties. And when he does get his penalties because his truck gets loose and he gets a self spin, he hasn't done a lot of uh anything that really relate to any kind of caution or damage. So he's had a really good season. So it's good to see him back up in the top five. I know he's had a couple of weeks where he hasn't been up there, but it's good to see him back in the top five.
No, it definitely is, and I think he's had in seasons past. You know, I have a lot of experience with the Global Racing Truck Series, and seasons past, he's been one that has had a lot of bad luck. A lot of times, has shown even been over aggressive at times. But I think he's really changed his mindset in a lot of ways on how he tackles these races, and you could tell just the difference when it comes to his consistency. So whatever he's doing, he needs to keep doing it. That's for sure.
Oh, I definitely agree. He's been a lot less aggressive, and it showed because he's had good finishes. Sometimes when you get over aggressive, you get to put yourself in a predicament that if somebody makes a mistake around you, you're going to pay the price. And he hasn't. He's just been kind of consistently keeping himself out of trouble.
100%. Tires continue to fall off as they got a second and a half of fall off right now as we're on lap 40. Fuel is starting to run out though. Of course, we have I do believe about 8 laps before we should see a lot of these drivers decide to come down pit road. But fairly even, I'd say. A lot of these drivers, pretty even when it comes to we do have some drivers that did come to pit road as well. Steve Gerber and David Halsey making me changing up the strategy a little bit. I do believe they have come to pit road. Halsey actually having to come down a second time, I do believe. That is going to put him 2 laps down, possibly a penalty there.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be looks like a speeding penalty. It looks like he's being held for 40 seconds on the pit road. So that's probably speeding on the exit if he had to come back in. So that's
the
tough break
worst
for the
thing.
57 machine.
That's the worst thing that can happen to you essentially on pit road. I mean, when you speeding on entry or having an unsafe entry is just you stop in your box, serve it there. But if you get it on the exit, that means you got to come all the way back in again, and that costs you even more time.
Yeah, so if you're going to break the rules, break them going in so you ain't got to lose that extra time. But big hit for the 57 right there.
No, 100%. But look at this, Stephen Hayes, of course, pulling away still. Well, not really pulling away, but maintaining a gap of 7/10 back to Michael Hayes. Of course, he's been a little inconsistent compared to his lap times, but I think a lot of these drivers are really just starting to struggle here. As I think we're seeing Ronald Holmes just lost a position to Mark Royce. You see Halsey coming off of pit road here.
Yeah. I was going to say something. I done forgot what I was going to say. Okay.
But you see Stephen Hayes having to cede the position there to David Halsey. Halsey trying to get one of his laps back. And everybody should be coming to pit road here very, very soon. Of course, EJ Luna starting to kind of come back a little bit on Joshua Slate. The gap's not too big there for those drivers. Of course, Chad McGinley not that far from Ricky Hudgens as well. Seems like McGinley looking really good on the long run. Hudgens actually kind of off the pace that last time by. 32.066 was his lap time. He might be getting ready to come to pit road. I think he's preparing to do that right now, actually.
Yeah, it looks like he's off the pace down onto the pit road entrance there and gets down so he doesn't get that pit road speed and good entrance. And
Looks like he locked the tires up just a hair though, but that's nothing wrong with that. Trying to make sure he gets that speed down. This is a tricky place. I mean, just considering the banking on in the corner, and of course the banking down on the apron is very, very different. And when you're on such burn up tires, it can be extremely difficult to get, to transition from one the racetrack to the apron. And I myself have been in the A Opens event and have spun out coming to
oh
pit
yeah,
road.
oh most definitely. When those tires get worn, you think, okay, I'm gonna slow down. They're gonna be better. They're not. If you make any kind of rash decision getting down on that pit road, it's easy to turn that car around. So it's green flag pits is very interesting and very hard to do.
100%. But we'll have to see. I think here comes another driver, Bobby Mantle, coming to pit road in the 89 machine, as well as, oh, Knight. Look at that. Oh, that was close. Whoa, it was wiggly. That was wiggly right there. I think he made pace speed. I think he is going to be okay. But, man, that was very close. He almost spun it into the grass there on the pit entry. As we're seeing everybody kind of putting their hands down, putting their hands down for when they're going to pit.
Yeah.
And this is kind of interesting. Of course, we talked about the fuel window being about 48 laps. Still have
And
a long way to go. It's been green.
This is where all the strategy is gonna start playing into of early pitting and late pitting. This is where positions are going to change place right here.
Yeah, and it could be you could really, the winning strategy could be to kind of jump out in front of somebody by short pitting them by a lap or two and kind of running a couple laps on the newer tires. As here comes Stephen Hayes, leader to pit road. Michael Hayes going to take the lead. He's going to stay out another lap. So Stephen Hayes coming to pit road here. Very safe pit stop there for that driver.
Joshua Slade leaving pit road.
Yeah, looks like Joshua Slade able to get off pit road fairly safely, as we only have 5 drivers now left on the lead lap that have yet to pit here. Tyler Honeycutt as well coming off of pit road. Looks like for the most part, I don't see any penalties. The only penalty I think we saw here so far was David Holsey with his issue. He's 3 laps down, but everybody else pretty much 1 lap down at the moment. Steve Gerber, he short pitted a lot of these guys and was a little bit more successful than Holsey was, of course. A lot more successful, I should say. He's actually one that short pitted, and he's moving to the front of the field right now. Steve Gerber definitely going to be happy to use a little bit of strategy to get up kind of closer to the front here.
And Michael Hayes coming into his pit box.
And this will put almost everybody back on the lead lap. And I do believe that's going to put Michael Hayes. If he can get off. Let's see if Michael Hayes gets off and if he keeps his position. And I don't think he will. Steve Gerber going to lead some laps here. I do believe that actually does that count for something when it comes to points, Michael?
Yes, it does count for the overall points. You get bonus points for leading a lap, leading the most laps, winning the pole, all that good stuff.
Well, of course, he is on much older tires compared to a driver like Joshua Slade, who has jumped up to second place. He's got about 2.5 seconds between first and second right now. As Bobby Mantle at the moment battling with Michael Hayes. And that, of course, is for that 6th place position. Both of these drivers on somewhat fresh tires. Oh, you see Mantle all over the rear end of the one right now.
Interesting races going on throughout the field here.
And a lot of times when you're on old tires at a track like this, you get used to how it drives. And when you go to the cold tires, a lot of times that can be kind of a shock to your system. Even that you'll feel like Superman, and sometimes that can make you be a little bit more aggressive than you usually would be. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I think right now is probably a great time, since we just finished our our pit cycle, to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here with the rest of the coverage here at Texas Motor Speedway on Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Some good, exciting racing going on in for first, and
Welcome
second, and
back to
third
Grid
too.
Vision. Definitely some exciting racing, as Michael Lester was just saying. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. Michael Lester, my co-commentator here. We're back on Grid Vision as we see side-by-side battling for the lead there. Stephen Hayes, of course, at the – oh, wow, big move there for Hayes to kind of cut off Joshua Slade for that second spot. We see EJ Luna right there. All of these guys on top of each other. Dang, Michael, I mean, you had some thoughts there on this race, and this is awesome.
Oh yeah, it was a great racing between the 13 and the 12 of Stephen Hayes and Joshua Slade. And here comes Luna getting into the picture. Some good racing up here for the lead. These guys kind of got fresher tires, and we'll see how the racing goes. Ooh, looks like 12 is trying to pinch Luna down to keep him from passing.
Yeah, this has been a racetrack that has, in the A Opens as well, the Cup car, the Xfinity. I think every car that comes here, this track is big on blocking. It's very easy to block a driver's run, and this track is so big as well on momentum. So when you kind of shove that nose in front of someone else, they either have a choice to make. They lift or they don't, and that could cause our next caution. And whether someone decides not to lift, I mean, it's kind of an equation, and if one driver does not agree to being blocked, then it could go wrong.
Well, since Joshua is sitting in second position, I guess I go ahead and acknowledge him as my son. He asked me to acknowledge him as his son while I was on the air today. So that's my boy.
Well, your boy just got passed by EJ Luna there, and
Yeah, serves him right for making me
I'm just
do
glad
that.
he didn't get turned there because he got very close to getting turned by EJ Luna there. But of course, Joshua Slade showing some really good speed, and I'm sure he's glad you claimed him for sure. On air. Of course, these guys battling still for this top three. Stephen Hayes, though, kind of pulling away here. Got about a 0.3 of a second gap right now on his teammate there in the 24.
Well, it was good racing for a second, but Chad McGinley just passing Steve Gerber. Now you got Stephen Knight coming up trying to pass the 8 car. And I remember the 8 car pitted was like one of the first cars to pit. And you can see the difference on his tires against everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. He's very much on old tires right now. I mean,
Yeah,
lap time wise, he's about a half a second or more slower than the rest of these drivers here. Knight's going to have no problems getting by him, and possibly going to try to see if he can't stick with his teammate there. And we have the strategy, kind of graphic on board right now, or up on our screens. Of course, you can see that Gerber very much pitted, I do believe, 37 laps into his run, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot earlier than a lot of the other drivers. But here
Yeah,
comes
I
as
mean,
well. I do believe we got a battle between Stephen Knight and LeBlanc. LeBlanc, haven't talked a whole lot about him today. LeBlanc is a driver that has a lot of talent, but has not really been showing it quite as much here as of late. Of course, he is one of the playoff drivers as well. We see, we see him, earlier in the season was finding a lot of success. It just doesn't seem like he's been the strongest one of the Lone Star camp.
yeah, Justin LeBlanc is kind of taken a back seat this year from like last year. Last year he was a really dominant racer. He's still a good racer. He's still in the playoffs, and he's a better driver than I am. So I'm not trying to take anything away from LeBlanc, but his numbers hasn't been as steady as they were last year. The best way to say it.
No, I think that's a good way to say it. I mean, and he just his performance, his numbers have just not been near as good, and then it also could have something to do with the new competition as well as in this series from last year to now. I mean, we're seeing Chad McGinley kind of, especially early in the season, kind of really showed a lot of pace. Bobby Mantle. I mean, these are guys that are new to this series that showed up and have really hit the ground running and probably have made it a lot harder to succeed in this series.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, the competition has stepped up across the board. We've had some really good racers and on this roster. Some of them still here, some of them not. But it's been good competition this year.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely has been, and still very much not a championship favorite at the moment. And it's all going to come down to that final race, I think, in a lot of ways. But we'll have to see how that kind of all plays out. Of course, Stephen Hayes, he's been another dominant factor all season long, and he is up front. He's got about 6/10 back to E.J. Luna as we kind of have this battle between Bobby Mantle and Chad McGinley going on. Now, of course, these guys are on the same team, but I don't think they're going to be really taking it easy on each other because, I mean, when you get closer and closer to the playoffs, or should I say closer to the end of the playoffs where the championship is going to be on the line, teammates don't matter quite as much. I mean, heck, I want to win the title myself. We both can't win it.
Exactly. And not only the championship, but next week is the last race of the first part of the chase. So you're going to see a lot of, I mean, and we're going to be at Talladega, which teammates come in so much at Talladega. But if you got 2 or 3 guys on your team that are running for that last playoff spot, how much cooperation do you want to do with them? It's
Yeah.
do you
I
find
mean, you'll
yourself
probably
another penalty?
cooperate, especially at Talladega. At Talladega, you'll cooperate up until out of turn 4. Like, that's when
Exactly.
you'll stop
Yeah.
cooperating.
Yep.
But here comes Justin LeBlanc. Oh, getting really close to the back end of the 28. Love this camera. Got to give a big shout out to Austin Derbyshire, our camera worker here, our producer, doing a fantastic job. Always bringing such great camera angles here as we see LeBlanc very much
Week in,
looking a little
week
bit
out.
faster right now than these 2 drivers ahead of him. You see LeBlanc trying to get underneath the 28 here. Just not quite able to get this pass done. You can see McGinley's kind of just running that middle groove, and it's kind of probably a pain in the butt for LeBlanc in a lot of ways.
I think like I said, I haven't ran at Texas very long, but I think you gain so much speed going into that tri-oval that's where you want to make up all your grounds. These turns you got to stay on the low side and then make up your ground in that tri-oval. Coming off of turn
LeBlanc
4.
able to make the position there. He's got Chad McGinley. But McGinley tries to possibly get back underneath, not quite able to do so. As LeBlanc having one of his best runs this season at the moment. Very fast. Looks, I mean, speed-wise, I think if LeBlanc was able to get some track position, I think he'd be one that I suspect would be up closer to the front. As here he comes to Bobby Mantle. Lone Star's looking incredibly good here today. Of course, they hold the 1st, 3rd, 4th, and I do believe 6th, or getting ready to be 6th position here for LeBlanc. So definitely a really good run for those guys so far. As well as you got Slade, he's up in 2nd.
You got those 2 at the top teammates on the outside of LeBlanc that's going to be working together. And draft does come into these 1.5-mile tracks, especially the Texas, kind of like tracks, but looks like LeBlanc's going to be able to pull it off and get clear of them.
And looking at it right now, of course, Justin LeBlanc, he's got 24 laps on his tires. Now, Bobby Mantle and McGinley, they have 27 and 26 respectively. So that is just a couple laps. That's like 2 laps or 3 laps difference that LeBlanc has on Mantle, and that's enough. That's enough to be a difference.
And here
I
we go.
I know a lot of tracks.
crossover.
Here we goes crossover maneuver. Yeah, Bobby Mantle crossing over LeBlanc. Even though LeBlanc had completed that pass, Bobby Mantle wanted to get that spot back.
He's got his teammate, Chad McGinley, right behind him, trying to keep the door open.
He's definitely, this is good. And especially considering, like I was kind of mentioning, LeBlanc is on better tires than both of these drivers. But it seems like it's not mattering that much. We're going to take a look at the replay. It looks like David Holsey maybe with some issues here. And he has just been, his day has pretty much been going from bad to worse. Oh, big hit on the wall. He takes himself a trip through the grass. And that is unfortunate for that driver, as that was quite a big hit on the wall and a little bit of an excursion. And his day's just gone from bad to worse. Of course, he's 3 laps down.
Along with Ron Harrington.
And the bad thing is, I mean, one thing that's really bad about this round, one thing that's been really aggravating for a lot of these drivers, I'm sure, is the fact that they can't win their way in to the next round. It's all based on points. So if you have a bad race like David Holsey is, he could end up getting kicked out of and not make it to the next round just because of a bad race here. And if he could go to Talladega and win it, it still might not be enough.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly the way it is there. I mean, you got to put up the numbers to the first 4 races. We were thinking about giving bonus points for wins, but I think we turned it down for some reason. I can't remember exactly why. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately for him, he missed a couple of races. And unfortunately, we wasn't able to give him no points. And I mean, I like to see David Halsey because he's one of the good drivers. He's not aggressive driver. He's a really good driver that runs up in the front for a good portion of the season. To see him get knocked out in the first round is a blow to the playoffs.
Yeah, so he's definitely going to have some. He's going to have some sort of recovery here. He's going to need a few cautions to get back into this game. Of course, with that damage though, that's going to make it even more difficult. Of course, this series does not have anything like a fast repair or anything like that. Of course, and the new damage model, though, you can probably get that damage fixed. To see, of course, is kind of impeding Joshua Slade here. Now Slade getting caught by Michael Hayes. Now Hayes, of course, last time by was about a 10th faster than Slade. You see Holsey trying desperately just to keep on pace here. And I'm sure Michael Hayes probably like, hey, man, can I race Joshua Slade without you in my way? But, of course, everybody has a right to, kind of race their own race here.
Oh, yeah. Everybody has the right to race.
It's your responsibility to get by them.
Yeah,
it looks like Michael Hayes is going to possibly make the pass. Well, I don't know. I thought he was going to be able to make the pass on David Holsey, but not quite able to get it done. He drives it in deep into 1 and 2. Can he get it clear? This has also brought E.J. Luna closer up to Michael. Oh, Michael gets loose out of 2.
That's a big wiggle from the number 1.
Yeah, definitely a big wiggle. And a lot of times when you see that kind of loose spell, a lot of times that's going to come back again. That's not going to be something we're probably going to, the last time we're going to see that from Michael. I think he's probably starting to get a little frustrated with David Holsey.
Well, right now we're at that point where we're going to start seeing green flag pit stops again. So tires are going to, again, have started letting these drivers down. And that's definitely harder to pass. Halsey probably has a little fresher tires than Hayes. I was able to hold that grip a little bit longer.
Yeah. And it looks like Michael Hayes has successfully gotten by David Holsey, but of course the damage has pretty much already been done. He's got about 8/10 to get up there to Joshua Slade. Now here comes EJ Luna. He's going to see if he can't possibly make the pass as well on David Holsey. Of course, like you said, the guys are going to be coming down pit road very, very soon. Fuel window is not open, but I do believe in the next few laps it will be to where you'll be able to make it on gas. Of course, I think you gotta want to really have newer tires though. Oh, big slide for Justin LeBlanc, I should say. I'm looking back here. It looks like Justin LeBlanc having a big issue there. He's going to fall back, and Bobby Mansell moves up to 6th. That was a big slide there for the 85. I'm kind of wondering what the heck just happened there. I'm wondering if he maybe burned his tires up or, heated them up a little bit too much. But 85 laps into the race. We've been caution-free thus far. And what a race it has been. It's definitely been, I would say, very a grueling process for a lot of these drivers out on the track. I guarantee you, a lot of them are starting to get wore out. When you have a caution-free race, especially at tracks like this, to where they're physical, you got to use a little bit of brake. You got to be, kind of using partial throttle. You got to use that wheel. A lot of times that is physically demanding, depending on how much force feedback you have in that thing.
Sometimes you got to change your line. You got to get out of that groove that you've been running in, and sometimes the wheel will come back to you. But you gotta make sure your hands are both on that wheel.
Watching on board here with Stephen Hayes, and I love what I see here for him. He is so smooth with his inputs. You see that he doesn't really turn that much into the corner. He kind of just lets the truck do what it's going to do. As we're looking on the cockpit, of course, he's trying to get by the lap car of Ron. I do believe Ron Harrington there in the 66. Of course, Ron not really wanting to let him go. Ronster Raps getting loose in front of the leader.
That's scary right there.
Oh, very scary situation. I'm sure Steven's probably just like, hey, man, get out of the way. He's allowing Joshua Slade to catch him. Stephen Hayes had a 1.5 second gap back to Joshua Slade. That is starting to disappear because of this battle that he's having to fight with this lap car of Ron Harrington. Of course, as we had mentioned before, it's your responsibility to get by the car, and he's just holding his line.
Yeah, I think Ron went up to the top and give the 13th a lower. I think that was the problem, was Ron couldn't get out of the way on the low side, so he had to wait to get up on the high side.
And this is one of those tracks where it's very easy to catch a car at the wrong time, and I think that's kind of what happened.
Definitely.
I think in a lot of ways that's exactly what happened. I think Ron, especially coming into one or coming off of exit of 2, if you catch a car right there, that's like a bad spot. And I think that's kind of where Stephen caught Ronald there. As we see, of course, big battle kind of starting to come together for the second place position. Joshua Slade has Michael Hayes right on his rear end. Now, think about this, though. Michael Hayes had gotten held up by David Holsey for a few laps, but was able to really regroup, and now is back to the back end of Slade.
A good bounce back for Michael Hayes. He's back up in the 3rd position, battling Joshua Slade for the 2nd position. He's got a really good truck.
No, he definitely does. It looks like we have had one of our first takers for green flag stop. So they're blocking each other all the way down the track. Now, I know these guys know each other very well. Michael Hayes and Joshua Slade race each other quite a bit. They kind of have a lot of respect for each other. They race each other hard. They do not cut each other any breaks.
No, they do not. They razz each other. They race each other hard. They won't wreck each other, but they'll race each other hard.
Also have seen one of the drivers come down pit road. That is Ricky Hudgens has decided to take a stop.
And that's not a bad call. That's definitely not a bad call.
To come a little early. It is in the fuel window, so maybe he'll have a little bit of the advantage on tire.
Yeah.
Or I should say he'll have a couple laps with the fresh tires.
Yeah, the biggest thing is you got to get in perfectly and you got to get out perfectly to make a difference.
Also have a battle going on for, I do believe, 5th place. So actually, no, Bobby Mantle's coming to pit road here. I thought there was a battle going on for that 5th place position, but it looks like Mantle has just decided to go ahead and pit now. So it looks like that's a lot of drivers are going to see that 89 coming in pit road. They're going to be like, okay, so that means I need to come down soon as well.
Yeah, you don't want to be out there too long, especially if everybody can make it to the end. Don't count on being able to regain the spot that you just lost. Staying
Here
out there
comes
with
Michael
fresh
Hayes.
tires.
Michael Hayes to pit road, and as well behind him, Stephen Knight. I think Chad McGinley as well. So we're seeing pretty much a big portion, a large portion of this field is coming to pit road. And here comes our leader, Stephen Hayes, as well as Joshua Slade and EJ Luna. So I think that's almost everybody. Of course, Justin LeBlanc, I do believe, is still out on the racetrack. LeBlanc probably staying out a little bit longer to try to see if he could possibly have the fresher tires later in the race. He kind of did that earlier as well. Had a couple of laps fresher tires than the rest of the drivers. And this is going to be the money stop right here. Last stop, I do believe, if we stay green. And here comes LeBlanc to pit road. Of course, Mark Royce still out on the racetrack right now. He's going to, I do believe, inherit the lead. It's another driver, the 50. Surprised we haven't seen more speed out of that 50 car. I got to say, I know you could probably even echo this fact. Mark Royce, last season, has won races. This guy was a winner. And something's changed. In I don't know what's been happening, if it's been whether he just hasn't had the time to prepare or what's been going on. But I just feel like he's not as capable of winning as he used to be.
We talked about it earlier. Change in competition plays a part. We're all Mark is like me. We're in our older stages in life, and sometimes we don't get to do as much practicing as we normally would like to do because we have other things going on in our lives, and that's one of the things that Mark Royce is actually has started his own. Actually bought a business and is starting his own business up here in November. He purchased a woman's clothes store in his hometown. I can't remember where his hometown is, but I wish him nothing but luck in his endeavors in his new business. So he's got a lot of time that he's got to spend somewhere else.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of times that takes away from your racing, kind of iRacing career, 100%. That sounds like a big thing to try to take over and tackle, and a lot of preparation that a lot of time away from the sim. As of course Stephen Hayes out front, looks like we pretty much have did the green flag cycle. With that, I think now's a great time to take our second commercial break here of the day, and we'll be back here with the conclusion of our race here at Texas Motor Speedway in the Global Racing Truck Series on Grid Vision. We'll see you in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Grid Vision's coverage of the Global Racing Truck Series here at Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Michael Lester in the booth beside me. Austin Derbyshire, of course, down behind the cameras. Stephen Hayes has pretty much dominated this race, I think, for quite a while. It seems like he's got the best overall speed, and that's not a kind of a surprise. I'm wondering if Austin Edstrom, he always says he kind of has this little tradition where he eats Whataburger. And a lot of times, Stephen Hayes does well whenever he eats Whataburger. Of course, he's not in the call tonight, or today, I should say. But still, I mean, the tradition possibly could hold. I'll have to ask him. But Stephen, always looking good. I mean, he's a championship favorite, in my opinion, Michael.
Oh yeah, definitely. Steven's always in the talk for the championship, but I believe if he wins tonight, I think he owes everybody a Whataburger. Just mail one out to all of us.
I'm about to say, we don't even have Whataburger in South Carolina where I live at. I've had Whataburger, though, before whenever I went to Texas once. And it was good. They're very, very good. So I wish we had one around here, but definitely some good burgers for sure.
Yeah, we had one in the little town that I grew up here in Hepzibah, Georgia. We had one, really good burger like that, but they kind of closed down, and I haven't seen one since.
That's definitely sad for sure. Of course, have completed our final pit stop of the day. Of course, if we stay green, we have been green thus far for over 100 laps. We're on 107 laps. Actually, just started 108. Michael Hayes is about 7/10, 8/10 back from his brother Steven.
Yellow
caution flag is out, and I just spoke a caution essentially into existence. Said if we stay green, and it looks like we have had a yellow flag. I do believe that is Ronald Holmes that has spun it out. We're going to definitely take a look back and see exactly what happened. This is going to absolutely change everything here. It's all going to be based, I do believe, more on short run pace here. As we look back at Ronald Holmes, looked like he was trying to avoid the wall and got loose. Oh, big hit on the inside. He tried to avoid the outside wall, which he probably wouldn't have hit it that hard. But instead, he hit the inside wall incredibly hard. My word, he hit a ton. You see right here. And look at that. That's not what you want to do. You see how hard he had that wheel turned on the exit. You do not want to turn that wheel that much because a lot of people don't realize that when you turn the wheel too much, it actually stops turning. That the tire, even though you're turning the tire, it stops gripping because you don't have as much contact with the actual road surface. So a lot of times turning the wheel more actually makes the truck turn less. That's one thing I think Ronald Holmes probably needs to learn. I got to be completely honest. But unfortunately, he hit the inside wall a ton. That's probably going to be his night.
Yeah, you see him crab walking, trying to get off the wall. And yeah, that's going to be it for him. I mean, you're right. When you got new, especially when you got new tires on, you get loose coming off the turn and you try to overcorrect it. Those tires will friggin' grab a hold and and it will send you wherever you're pointing to. And it happened to be he was pointing towards the inside wall and just smacked the living tar out of it.
Yeah, and the sad thing is he was trying to avoid the outside wall and ended up hitting harder on the inside. As, of course, we see everybody pretty much coming down to grab a fresh set of tires. Stephen Hayes winning
Yeah.
the race off pit road. Michael Hayes comes off in second. Joshua Slade in third. EJ Luna comes off fourth. Mantle fifth. Ricky Hudgens comes off in sixth. McGinley seventh. Justin LeBlanc eighth. Stephen Knight ninth. And, of course, looks like Tyler Honeycutt loses some spot. Seemed to be losing
Yeah.
my voice there for a second. I had a frog in my throat.
Well, the only thing that's good that caution did is going to make the finish to this race very interesting. Everybody's gathered back up, and Stephen Hayes definitely did not want to see that yellow.
No, not in the slightest. I tell you that. I mean, he had a pretty good him and Michael Hayes had a pretty good lead on Joshua Slade, and that has just pretty much disappeared. And this is going to make it a lot harder for Steven to win this race for sure. I mean, but I think he's still got the truck, and also you got to keep in mind that track position, it seems to be, is very important at this racetrack. It's very difficult to pass, so if he can just kind of defend, I think he'll be okay. But then again, I mean, he's going against his brother Michael, who, either one of these Hayeses, they very easily could win this race. And Slade has been really good in this race as well. So I would not be surprised to see that 12 even possibly come up here and win.
Oh yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be about 4 or 5. We got let me see. EJ Luna, he's going to be strong. Bobby's going to be strong. Ricky's going to be strong. So there's about 7 cars in that front of that field that are going to be pushing it. They got 24 laps, 23 laps once we go back to green to decide. There's going to be 23 strong laps from those 7 drivers right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it'll be a shorter run. Of course, it'll still be a long enough run that you really don't want to burn your stuff up, but you can kind of be a little bit more aggressive, for sure. So,
Most definitely.
So it'll be a little bit over a 20-lap run, and a lot of times you got to keep in mind as well, cautions breed cautions as well. So if these guys, knowing that it's going to be kind of a short run at the end, they get a little too aggressive and start to block and things like that. I mean, a lot of the patience and give and take is probably it's going to start to run thin here.
Most definitely. I mean, I don't know how hot it is in Texas today, but it just got a little bit hotter.
It definitely did. It got a lot hotter out here on the racetrack and probably under the collars of these drivers as well. Stephen Hayes is probably going to be trying to do everything he possibly can to get this thing took care of. I do believe he entered today's race as the points leader, if I'm not mistaken. And he's going to try to see if he can't exit as the points leader.
And I think Bobby Mantrell is the points
leader. Oh,
leader.
Bobby is. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. My mistake. That is true. Bobby Mantle is the points leader. Stephen has got to be pretty close there. Oh, we're taking a look. Glad he should. Actually, Stephen Hayes quite a way down the board. 9th. That's kind of surprising.
He's had some bad races, and I think he missed the first race. So
I'm glad we're looking at this though, because this is towards the end of this race. It's important that we see that. And also, I just noticed Daniel Ott not in the race here today. That's going to be some sorely missed points there for that driver.
Yeah. I thought Daniel Ott was one of the guys that was showing up for the race because he is still in the playoffs. So it's going to be very interesting next week at Talladega for the points. The guys in the playoffs. So it's going to make Talladega just a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. That's definitely going to be it's going to be a lot of pressure on these drivers next week to perform, and the pressure a lot of times can burst pipes, and I think that could possibly be the case as we see the pace car dip down pit road. Love this camera angle as we get looks like the camera can phase through things, and the green flag is back out in the air. Stephen Hayes, really awesome restart, pulls away from second place and third. Joshua Slade, really good restart as well. He's going to take over second place, able to get by Michael Hayes. Michael is losing positions like crazy. He looks like he was kind of caught sleeping on that start.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to fall back to the 5th position. It looks like EJ Luna and Bobby Mantrell got around.
Yeah, Slade drafting up to Stephen Hayes here, side by side right now for third, as Mantle tries to work the top side, as well as you see Michael Hayes trying to recover as he gets a little bit tight on Mantle coming out of turn 2, as well as you see Ricky Hudgens. And look at that, Stephen Hayes trying to break the draft on Joshua Slade. As we come to 20 laps to go, the excitement has started to heat up, as we could possibly see a race for the lead here momentarily, as well as you see the race for third very much heating up. As here comes Slade, big run. And he follows him. You can just tell Hayes is trying to break the draft, but it's not. I don't think it's working.
Yeah, I think Slade is just playing it smart right now. He's just going to stay in his drafts, try to save some of his tires, make Steven make a mistake, and see if he can capitalize on it.
No, I think that's probably the smart decision. If he could just make him make a mistake. Oh, really close to the rear end there. Got him a little bit out of sorts.
Joshua Slade getting off the accelerator there to let him catch you back up.
Well, the thing is about it is Bobby Mantle is sort of entering the fray right now. I mean, he has caught up to the rear of Slade here. Oh, and here comes, almost a pass to the grass. You see Slade drops his tires below the apron there. And now they're side by side.
And this is a bad position for Steven because he needs a good points day. He doesn't necessarily need a win. He needs a good points day. So how much does he want to race hard with somebody who Joshua doesn't need anything. He's going for that win. He's not in the playoffs. He's going for that win. So how much do you want to sit there and fight somebody?
Yeah, he doesn't care about points. He's going for glory. He's going for that dub.
Oh, that was so close. Bobby Mantrell's getting underneath the 13 coming down just the slightest bit, almost making contact. But whew, that was close.
Oh, that was very, very close. And Bobby Mantle has not really been a factor here for the race win all race long, but you can never count out the 89. Those at the top guys, a lot of times you can't never count them out here lately. I mean, and I know King Keith probably loves to hear that those at the top guys are always in contention to win here in Global. As here you see Mantle trying to hold off Stephen Hayes. Hayes trying to recover to get back up to Slade. Slade right now in control of the race at the moment. As we see, of course, Ricky Hudgens as well trying to battle with Michael Hayes. Oh, Ricky Hudgens almost into the rear end of the 24 as we're going to get 3 wide possibly.
Here comes 28 below of Chad McGinley below Ricky.
And it is definitely starting to get exciting. As side by side, EJ Luna, teammates side by side here nonetheless. Of course, that's Michael Hayes on the bottom, 24 of EJ Luna on top, and EJ not wanting to cede the position. But it looks like he's not going to have a choice. I don't know, he gets a good run out of 2. Still neck and neck. This is bringing Chad McGinley into this battle for the top 5 as the top 3 start to drive away. Bobby Mantle peeking his nose underneath, trying to maybe challenge for the lead. Coming up close to 12 laps to go. Stephen Hayes trying to peek on the top to try to get the run on the exit of 2. Guys blocking each other all over the racetrack. Oh, goodness.
Oh, some racing going on up here in the lead. 3-way. Ooh, wow. Steven just making it interesting at the end of this race.
Stephen Hayes getting the run here later, like he tried to save his tires. And I think that's why Joshua Slade was able to make the pass earlier. And now he has the resources to take over second from Bobby Mantle. Can he get the spot back from Slade?
regardless of who wins this race, what a race they have put on for us today.
No, it has definitely been entertaining. That is a fact. As also Michael Hayes is starting to enter the fray as well. He's been saving his equipment. He definitely, I think, made a mistake on the restart, but has slowly but surely recovered. As Stephen Hayes gets a big run up to the 12. Joshua Slade trying to block this run, trying to break the draft side by side, going into 3.
Catching that little side draft, the 13 is onto the 12, trying to get that momentum coming out of the turn 4.
And this is going to be a 4-way battle for the lead now, possibly even a 5-way if Chad McGinley gets
three-way
a
for the lead
wide
right
for the
now.
lead.
Oh, they touch. Yeah, all 3 of them touch. Oh, who's going to...
4 wide.
Oh, my Lord.
They are 4 wide, ladies and gentlemen, there for just a moment.
Not mean it.
My word, still 3 wide.
Bobby with a power move to take the lead.
He definitely put a power move, and this is, of course, with now, I do believe, coming to 8 laps to go.
Again, we got 3 playoff drivers up here racing like it's the first race of the season, trying to get that first win.
Oh, Stephen Hayes into the wall. And that is going to make him lose quite a number of positions here. As you see, Chad McGinley moves up to 4. Stephen possibly going to see if he can hold off Ricky Hudgens here. The Mantle right now in control, but Joshua Slade tries to wrangle the control out of his hands as here comes Slade to the bottom in 1 and 2. Not able to get the pass, though. Mantle able to get the run out of 2. What does Michael Hayes have to say about this as he tries to get to the bottom of the 12, not quite able to get there?
Oh, Chad. Oh, wow. You're about to go 3 wide for 4th place.
That they are, as we see Stephen Hayes battling with Chad McGinley as well as Ricky Hudgens. And this is getting so exciting. My heart rate is high. I can't imagine how high the heart rates are of these drivers down there on the track.
Oh,
Bobby Mantle driving away.
I would love to be on the track right behind and just watch this unfold from a driver's sense.
Michael Hayes to the inside of the 12, side by side, as we have a really good view here from Ricky Hudgens' roof cam. And right behind it, watching it, Michael Lester just got his wish fulfilled. And what a view. This is a perfect view to see this race ahead. As you see Stephen Hayes trying to recover. Went from almost about to win the race, pretty much almost a sure thing for him to win the race earlier, but that caution changed absolutely everything. And now Bobby Mantle has a half a second gap back to Michael Hayes. Of course, Slade, though, still in the running, trying to see if he can run his way up, back up to Michael Hayes, but McGinley has also been showing some speed. These at the top guys, I think, have the short run pace. 3 wide right now for this just a moment. Justin LeBlanc trying to see if he can get his share of some positions here. But here we go. Coming to, I do believe, 3 laps to go. And Bobby Mantle in control.
Michael Hayes, who's sitting second in points right now, battling, trying to get the lead away from Bobby Mantle, that sits in first in the point standing. So good points day for these 2 guys.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, Bobby Mantle in the points lead right now, trying to hold off and possibly stay in that points lead if he can win this race. But then again, I mean, later in this run, it seems like Michael has the best pace. I mean, looking at lap time, Michael Hayes was the fastest car on the track that last time by us. We come closer and closer to 2 laps to go. What is Mantle willing to do? I mean, I'm assuming he's going to try to make that car 5 wide by itself. You can definitely tell that these guys are somewhat driving in their mirrors, you know, trying to keep these guys from getting the optimal line. But what can you do? What is Michael willing to do to go to victory lane?
It looks like he was looking on that top side coming into the turns 3 there for just a second, see if he can make something happen out there. but thinks better of it and drops back down to the lower side.
And of course, Michael Hayes has been really close to victory here a lot this season. A lot of them have gotten away from him. A lot of times when he finishes second, he's very disappointed. So we'll have to see how this kind of plays out as we see the white flag is going to be waving here as Bobby Mantle crosses the line as the leader. Will he finish as the leader, though, is the question.
I'm not sure, but I don't think Mike has enough run to make anything happen. So as long as Bobby, Stephen Hayes gets loose, which just kind of closes the door for anything to happen on his last turn. Well, I almost lost my voice there.
I think that's Michael Hayes, of course, who got really loose there. And he's going to, I do believe, that's going to be his opportunity. And side by side, though, for third, and it looks like Slade is going to get that third spot just barely, as McGinley had really tried to pounce on that position. But Bobby Mantle crossed the line as your winner. Really wasn't in contention to win this race earlier, especially on the longer runs. The at-the-top guys were not as good as the Lone Star drivers, but he was able to capitalize when it counted. And Bobby Mantle goes to victory lane, and of course he is going to keep the points lead. Now, this is a good thing for Mantle, considering you want to go into Talladega as a winner. You don't want to have to go and be desperate for points. So I think Mantle is going to be a little bit safer at Dega as he does a big burnout here, of course, to start our Martin Sports winning moment.
Yeah, exactly what you said. Going into Dega, he can feel a little bit more safer, so he can probably do a little bit more stuff. He's not really worried about the points and falling outside of the top 9, so he can push it a little bit more at Talladega if he wants to and not have to really worry if he crashes, he's going to lose anything.
Definitely a good point. Of course, that concludes our Martin Sports winning moment. I want to give a shout out to Martin Sports. Of course, they're a family-owned apparel company in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. They've been open for a decade and proved to be the best provider of custom apparel. Whether you need apparel for your local sports team, your business, special event, maybe you have a family reunion or something you want to make some custom shirts for, they're definitely a really good provider of those kind of things for you. Of course, not only that, but Martin Sports also is a major brand in sim racing, providing top sim teams with custom jerseys, and of course, even specially crafted gloves. I have a pair of those sim gloves and really do love them for sure. Of course, they even have sim racing socks, so they have pretty much everything you can possibly need to clothe yourself to represent your brand. Of course, visit martinsports906.com today to get in touch with them for sure, and we definitely want to thank them for being a sponsor for the Global Racing Truck Series. With that, let's take a look top to bottom at our final result. And of course, up in the winner's circle is going to be Bobby Mantle. Michael Hayes, of course, finishes in second. Third place, Joshua Slade. Chad McGinley in fourth. Stephen Hayes in fifth. EJ Luna sixth. Seventh place, Justin LeBlanc. Eighth place, Tyler Honeycutt. Ninth place, Ricky Hudgens. And 10th, Stephen Knight.
11th place is going to be held by Mark Royce. Steve Gerber's coming home 12th. David Halsey, after having that early penalty, he's going to be 2 laps down in 13th place. Ron Harrington and Ronald Holmes is going to be 14th and 15th.
All righty, and with that, I think we'll take one last step away. We'll pay some more attention to our sponsors. We'll be right back with our top 3 for our post-race show here on Grid Vision. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Grid Vision's post-race show here after we just finished our race here at Texas Motor Speedway with the Global Racing Truck Series. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. We had Michael Lester. We do want to give him a shout-out for calling here tonight. Of course, Austin Derbyshire down behind the cameras. We're going to go ahead and start our post-race interviews. Of course, that's going to start with our third-place finisher, and that will be Joshua Slade. Joshua, we got you here in the booth, man. It looked like you had a chance to possibly win the race there, but unfortunately it looked like you maybe spent the tires a little bit earlier or early in that little bit of a shorter run. Walk us through what you needed to get it done.
The truck felt really good on the short run. It was just kind of the mid-range run. Anything after pretty much like 12 laps got a little tight, but then on the long run it would settle in. So yeah, it was just that medium range run that when my car just couldn't mellow out yet. So they got me, and my truck was feeling tight, and it was just a great race. I mean, door banging, just very traditional.
No, it definitely was some good racing there. A lot of blocking kind of going on as well. I mean, it seems like Texas is kind of becoming known for that. I mean, you kind of can see a lot of also breaking the draft and things like that. I mean, how do you like this track? I know a lot of people don't really like the new configuration of this racetrack, but it's kind of growing on me.
I like it a lot. I love Texas. This is a very aero-dependent track, surprisingly for a super speedway. But yeah, just you definitely have to break the draft. You have to throw some blocks. I think everyone today did a good job of throwing blocks. It's not easy. I tried to throw some blocks in there. I tried to throw a block on Bobby Mantle on the going on a tri-oval, but couldn't get there in time. I gave him the spot that he needed to get the win. So yeah, it was just a good race.
We almost even saw 4 wide there for the lead at one moment.
Oh yeah, I was getting sandwiched. So yeah,
it definitely had to be some heart pounding kind of action there. What was going through your mind when you were in that battle? Were you just having fun?
Honestly, I was having fun. I mean, these are the top guys in the league, so I mean, we're all gonna race each other hard but respectful. And this is what you're gonna see. We're always gonna put on the show, and we want to put on the show for the audience as well, and for the rest of the league.
Well, you definitely did that. You put on quite a show for sure, Joshua. And Michael was up here in the booth. He said something about that if you were able to be here all the time, you would probably be right up here fighting for a championship just as much. But I mean, just glad you're able to at least participate and show your racing chops out there. And as well, I do believe he even mentioned something about you having a new race team coming up maybe next week.
Yeah, we're gonna I'm gonna get a team together, get some guys together, and expect us to be competing out here in the front, the whole team. So it's definitely gonna be very competitive. I want to shout out Michael Lester and the rest of Lazy Lizards, Ronald Holmes, Ronald Harrington, our new driver Tyler Honeycutt, and Josh Camphor as well. So you can't forget those guys. Did a good job this week on the sets, and almost got there, but I got a lot more work to do for next week.
100%. Speaking of next week, Talladega. I mean, that's going to be a pretty interesting race for sure. We saw a lot of excitement and stuff like that tonight, or today, I should say. I'm assuming next week's going to be just as exciting, maybe even more. I mean, how do you feel about Dega?
Dega's not one of my favorite tracks. It's probably that and Talladega. I'm not really a super speedway guy. A lot of people have different strategies to ride in the back and then wait till the end of the race to come to the front. I'm going to be battling the whole time. So the whole race, you're going to see me in the front, and I'm going to be battling, racing hard. So just to make it fun.
Well, I'm glad we appreciate that. We don't want a boring race. So thanks for Joshua Slade for helping out in that regard. But who else can we give a shout out to, Josh?
Oh yeah, shout out you guys in the booth. Y'all do a good job every week. I got so used to you saying 100% all the time, so that's my favorite catchphrase of you.
Oh. Oh, you even got our producer laughing. How about that? I'm so glad I have a catchphrase. But Josh, anybody else you want to shout out?
Oh yeah, just shout out everybody in the league. It's everyone who raced today. It was just a great race today. And we want to use races like this to entice more guys to come race in this league.
100%. Oh yeah, there it is. I just said it again. But yeah, now I'm gonna be self-conscious about it. I mean, but definitely,
The
Josh.
100% man
Hopefully
himself.
we'll get some more guys to race. With races like that. I mean, that's an advertisement right there, just to show how good the racing is. I mean, that you guys were able to be 3, 4, almost 4 wide, and not kind of all kill each other. So I mean, it just really was awesome to see, Josh, and hopefully we see more of it. I mean, that was really exciting for sure, and we congratulations on the 3rd place. We'll see you at Dega next week, brother.
All right, y'all have a nice one. Thank you.
Alrighty, that was Joshua Slade. And unfortunately, Michael Hayes has just messaged me and informed me that he is under the weather right now, so he's not going to be able to perform his interview, but we do want to congratulate him for his 2nd place finish, and crazy to see him being under the weather to be able to finish so well here, getting a strong points day. So congratulations to Michael Hayes. Of course, so we'll move right on to our winner. We got Bobby Mantle here in the booth with us. Bobby, I got to be completely honest, didn't see you winning this race. You really weren't a factor up until that last caution. I mean, that you guys at the top, of course, have been a factor or a contender to win pretty much in every race we've seen you in here recently. But what changed? I mean, was it just a caution? I mean, did you? I mean, because that move also was quite. I gotta just to be completely honest, ballsy. You taking them 3 wide like that.
Well, it's playoffs. You got to make those ballsy moves. But yeah, that caution brought me right back into the racing. I had no right to be up with those guys with the way the first half of the race had gone. Just got lucky with the caution, and I just adapted my driving style. I was trying to run a little more conservative. That wasn't working for me, so with 24 laps to go, I just sent it.
It definitely seemed like it played out well. I mean, we're going to take, I think we even have a replay of the big scent here as well, possibly. We're going to have some of the footage from, you kind of driving. But man, just awesome performance there for you pretty much all together. I mean, what did you guys think when you kind of loaded up today? I mean, did you feel like you had the truck to win, or was it just kind of like, feeling like we were trying to play catch up?
I felt like I had a decent truck, but honestly today I was just aiming for a top 5. I didn't think I had the winning truck, but obviously luck changed. That caution was huge. If it had stayed green, I think I was looking at 7th or 8th. So really today just boiled down to luck and being at the right place at the right time.
And also helped out your teammate as well, Chad McGinley, who finished in 4th place. Got really close to actually having to interview with him. He was battling with Joshua Slade. But I mean, it's just been a fantastic performance from your team altogether. At the Top Motorsports has really cemented themselves as championship, contenders. I think that you're one that definitely has a, could very well end up being the champion here, considering you're on the top of the board already when it comes to points coming into this race, and it looks like you're going to maintain that. But what is the mindset there? How do y'all prepare? I mean, to come into these races and perform the way you do?
We just try to get together a couple nights throughout the week and turn some practice laps and just compare our notes, tire wear, all that stuff, what our fuel runs are looking like, and we just keep working really well together and pushing each other to be better. So it's all just coming down to the laps we're putting in together as a team.
Well, it seems like it's definitely paying off. Of course, next week it's going to be, you said you got lucky today. Well, hopefully you didn't spend all of your luck today, because next week it's going to be a lot about luck. I mean, Talladega, of course, a lot of people say it's all luck, but really, though, it is a lot more about decision making. What are you guys thinking about Talladega? What's the game plan?
I honestly don't know. Just we'll see how the field's reacting. Maybe try and stay back, stay safe. It's Talladega, those high speed tracks. It's a lot of white knuckle driving. The guys are really close. Anything can go wrong at any time. So we'll just have to feel out and see how the race goes.
Well, I'm sure you guys will work very well together and come up with a game plan, to figure out any sort of different scenarios and things like that to make sure that you guys are up towards the front at the end of it. Of course, it helps that you're going to be going into Talladega as a winner, so you're going to have a little bit more, I'd say, probably a little bit more of a calmer mentality, considering you don't have to really worry about making it to the next round quite as much. Speaking of that, what is the game plan going forward for the next round? I mean, it seems like you got the speed to possibly go all the way. But I mean, what is it? Is the intensity rising as we get closer to the championship?
It's definitely getting a little more intense, but again, it all just boils down to the amount of practice I can put into this. If I can continue to put in the hours, run the laps the way I have been, I'm sure I'll stand a pretty good chance of taking this home at the end of the day.
All right. Well, we definitely wish you the best of luck in that championship hunt. We definitely root for you every week, even though we're not supposed to root for anybody. I definitely root for you, Bobby. You're definitely a fantastic driver, and we've been loving to see you grow. And I know our producer loves to see you succeed as well, considering you're a Canadian, and he's a Canadian. So, but who can we give a shout out to, Bobby, after your win here? Surprise win in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no kidding. Big shout out to the guys on the team here at the top. They've really pushed me to become the driver that I am here today. Shout out to all the guys that continue to show up through this playoff run. It really means a lot. And shout out to you guys for this broadcast. I'm really excited to go back and watch this one. And thank you to anyone that tuned in to watch.
Alrighty, well, thanks, Bobby. And yeah, you're definitely in for a doozy. I've probably watched the last 20 or so laps. We don't talk about you a whole lot until then. That's when we start talking about you a lot. But great job, Bobby. We'll see you next week at Talladega, brother.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, that was Bobby Mantle, driver of the 89 and winner here tonight. Definitely a fantastic performance there for him. I mean, he put on a show. He made a bold move, and I think that was really the winning moment of the race, the reason that he won this event. Of course, usually I would ask my co-commentator for their final thoughts, but I don't think I have that. So I'll ask myself, Brian, what did you think of the race? Oh, it was great. Definitely was a great race here today. These guys put on, I mean, especially a thrilling finish, and that's what you look for. Of course, these guys definitely are always, I do believe, recruiting. So hopefully we'll see some with a race like that, we should see the inbox for the Global Racing Truck Series definitely going up, and their stock is definitely raised up for sure for me, just considering that was just a fantastic finish. But with that, let's take a quick look at the schedule for next week. Now, I do want to mention as well that we have a race later tonight. RGR Cup Series is going to be at Texas in the Xfinity car. Of course, Monday, the Grid Vision Super Speedway Series is going to be at Atlanta Motor Speedway, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, Tuesday, we're going to see Champion Power Equipment come back in their second race, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Texas Motor Speedway as well. Friday, of course, Talladega in NIS competition, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sunday, doubleheader Sunday, we should start calling it. Of course, Talladega in the Global Racing Truck Series, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, later that night, RGR Cup Series is going to be at Darlington. So definitely going to be loving to see my home track on the docket there. But with that, I do believe that draws us to the conclusion of today's event. And, of course, we do want to give a shout-out to my co-commentator that helped me out today, Michael Lester, of course, owner of the Global Racing Truck Series race, or league, I should say. And do want to give a big congratulations as well, once again, to Bobby Mantle for picking up the win. Thanks for everybody that tuned in today. Of course, want to thank my producer, Austin Derbyshire, for everything that he did. I mean, awesome camera angles here today. Couldn't ask for a better producer. And anyone else that's involved with Grid Vision, I do want to say thank you to you as well. My name is Brian Britt, and we'll see you next time.